everybody, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations with Chaos Counseling. Can I finish it? I don't know.
Probably not.
Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night.
Don't drag her into this.
The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearl.
So, when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on! Pearly would never tell a lie.
Is Pearl gonna have to get on the witness stand?
She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be.
Well, that might be one way to get the 3 boxes.
Yep. You're smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath.
The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness.
Mr. Godot?
Let's just move on to the cross-examination if the defense has no objections.
This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright?
Let's get this cross-examination started.
Let's get it started. Ha!
Let's get it started.
So determined is the Maya.
So determined. Oh, now she's not so determined.
She's pondering being determined.
Well, she's,
Back to being determined.
Maya, stop being determined. You're gonna cause the game to be caught in an endless loop until you go insane and become the main villain.
No.
He cheered her up?
That's what Pearly said. She said he was very nice older gentleman.
He was very nice older gentleman.
Shut up. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
He gave her a cup of coffee. It's cool.
Oh,
no! Afterwards, that's why she was like, because she was
She was just high-five coffee.
coffee.
Cut it out. You're making me blush, I assume.
This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves. More ways than one.
Oh, that's just the torture needle tapping your facial nerve.
Good.
Well, the truth is there aren't that many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with the fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way. Godot style. It involved a lot of waiting.
And a lot of coffee.
I was gonna say, I would expect coffee.
He just pours coffee on everything, sees out what it does.
Interesting. That's his forensics ability. Just like taking the coffee, a reaction.
This might be the murder weapon. It's like a fucking stick.
Ah, yes.
This definitely killed someone.
It may have killed the tree.
And in the same way, I like to hand out my own verdicts. In my own way. Judge style!
That involves a lot of him just like taping beards onto things.
Judge Prism Power.
Maybe I should ask some questions, Phoenix style.
Which just involves him giving everything spikes.
No, it's him showing his badge. To
Oh yeah,
everything.
you gotta show his badge to everything. Like, do you know what this is? To a hamster.
You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Excuse me. Did you find anything?
It looked like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on this lantern. This gosh dang bloody writing.
Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles.
I thought that said Google.
Stupid Google.
Dark Googles.
Oh my gosh.
What?
How funny would it be if Godot was a Digimon protagonist and his partner was Coffeemon?
Does that exist? Please tell me that exists.
I don't think that exists.
Damn it! Get on it, whoever makes Digimon. Bandai! Get on it, Bandai!
The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall.
Beauty?
Misty Faye. Naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Western taste? Can you find a stranger way to describe gravy?
So, from there you headed for the prep room.
Wait a sec. What did Godot just say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Donim.
Brad, it doesn't look like there's even any fan art of him as a Digidestined.
Aw.
Yeah, well, I can live.
I present to you gravy.
Eat it!
It's a little old.
Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place.
Why do you say that?
Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll.
But Mr. Godot was right! That scroll shows a picture of my mother.
Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this.
What a wonderfully delicious smell!
Yay, gravy. I agree.
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy.
Gravy? But why gravy, Nick?
Because it couldn't be curry, because the pun doesn't work in English.
Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit.
And then again, it could have been something along the lines of, we will no longer be forced to be, something about like currying favor from the main house or
But
something
that
like that.
wouldn't tell her to put it on the...
Yeah, I know. I'd have to
Well,
take that out.
gravely. The pun was gravely,
Roast.
Roast.
Yeah. That's
It
true.
was like gravely roast Misty Faye.
gravely roast the master.
Yeah,
And there was gravy.
that's true.
From a roast.
On the master.
I was just trying to think, because, I mean, curry is a word in English language.
Yeah.
It's not just food, so.
Yeah.
I tried to make it work.
Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye.
Oh, shit. Oh, well. Well, wait a minute, Nick.
Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there.
There's no crest on Edgeworth.
What?
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 Oh, I see.
Nick, no, right now.
That. It's the mark of the master, correct?
Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark.
Then you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there.
True. But Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Oh,
Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime took place.
wow. He's a good guesser.
Can I ask you for just one little thing, Wright?
What is it?
Cream and sugar? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption.
So, when Jessie cleared her throat, it sounded like the audio from the game was crackling and
Oh.
the game was about to crash.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Sorry.
I knew beforehand that the crime was going to be committed.
Yeah.
That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene.
Of course, Mr. Godot knew about the plan.
Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan?
This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Mayfanner for a year.
Mayfanner.
Mayfair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Down somewhere in the Cunion.
Yep.
However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed.
Unsealed?
Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple.
And you're saying this crafty, sexy, dashing, beautiful killer is me?
You bet I am.
But you just said that the instructions were hidden, incognito,
That's right!
out of sight.
Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden.
If you really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out.
Yes, and when was that?
During a visit,
A visit?
Morgan Fay told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden.
Eavesdropping on a visit to the detention center.
Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot.
Order! 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 Mr. Godot, you are under fire again.
This prosecutor's on fire! Sorry.
This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder.
Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why that idiot voice in me loves Darksiders so much.
Probably.
Also, that's why humans drink the darkness. That is coffee, and Coca-Cola, and root beer,
It
and
is I,
Pepsi,
and some
and
the
Dr.
Seeker of
Pepper.
Darkness.
Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean?
He is Godot, the Seeker of Darkness.
It means there's a reason for everything.
Oh, that's much better.
Not the white hair. We could totally see that.
That means that most video game consoles in the future will be black, and that is how you seek the truth, through video games.
Oh, okay.
According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped.
Actually, has anyone noticed that most older cases or game consoles were white or gray, and then kind of GameCube, Xbox era, they started all being made black?
It's sleeker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I know the N64 was black, but most of the competitors at the time were also white. I didn't even mean to bring that up. It just occurred to me.
On a conversation during a jail visit, where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime.
He's such a quiet.
Why?
After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did it all. He did all of that just to protect this witness.
That's right.
If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through this kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress.
The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, For lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life. His behavior is still a little too unnatural.
However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs.
Knew it. Figured it out, haven't you, Nick?
I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh?
How has he not pissed himself a million times?
He's got, what is that thing? The bag. Yeah, he's got one of those.
What Jesse said.
Okay, Trite. I am all ears. Let's hear it.
It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you.
What's this?
There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey extremely together.
Oh.
There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister.
Mia Fey.
You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney.
Wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney?
With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right?
The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago.
Diego Armando. That name rings a bell.
It should, your honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in a court. The tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense lawyer at the office where Mia worked.
It's my fault! It's all my fault Mr. Falls killed himself!
Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it is all over.
I was moved by her. That's why she put all of her faith in her clients. That pure sweetheart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Me and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria.
Oh, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned.
Even I didn't see it coming. You really should have. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee.
And yet you could still drink the stuff.
Some newspapers at the time called it a murder. But very little information about the case was released to the press.
But you weren't dead at all.
No, official reports even actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep coma.
I see.
My body shut down and my life came nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight. All of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused.
It's terrible.
Apparently, it was a miracle that I even regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. And one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee.
So, to quote Sunshine here, on a scale of 1 to a Nature Valley granola bar, is that better than Shamu's story to break the tension, or is this one worse?
That's a
Vote in the comments.
Granted, that hasn't been released yet, the bit with Shamu.
In the future, vote.
5 years? You were asleep for 5 years?
And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered,
My ship.
and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death.
The woman you loathed?
The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Good old Mia, she didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up.
That's so sad.
For someone like me. For someone who had slept away their best days. There were only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor.
If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live?
The first was you, Trite.
Huh? Me?
If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault.
It wasn't like that.
I wanted to see for myself what kind of man you really are.
So that's why you became a prosecutor?
My other reason for living. She goes by the name of Maya Fey.
Huh? You mean me?
You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Crane Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her.
That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center.
I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it.
That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. Contacted both my accomplices.
Accomplices?
Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Fey. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in the case we couldn't control Pearl Fey.
But how did you contact my mother? She had been missing for almost 20 years.
Officially, yes.
What? What do you mean officially?
Her number was written on the bottom of this cup.
Fuck you!
You've heard about it, haven't you? about the strong ties between the main family and the government.
Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Karain had great authority.
Even without her official position, Misty Faye still wielded great influence. The police had been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
So my mother is cooperating with you?
Don't ever forget. No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She was always...
That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff.
The staff? The one with the sword in it?
The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. Realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fay, if necessary. Yes. Even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother...
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
I mean, pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together.
We thought we could prevent her from playing her little part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up.
She was worried and followed me to the inner temple.
That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body.
What do you mean?
If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself.
As Master of Karain, Misty Faye's powers were supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to.
What?
What? Is that true?
My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple. Just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne.
Godot.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to, Trite.
Huh?
There's no doubt about it, you're a great defense lawyer. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself.
The background leading up to the incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye. And I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot.
Well, Trite. If you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own.
No, Nick! Please don't! I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too.
I know that.
Nick.
But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify.
Miss Faye, your testimony, please.
This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips.
I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick.
All right, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost conscious. What exactly happened at the time of the murder?
Do we want to call that an episode?
We will call that an episode.
All right.
We will see you guys in the final episode
Hopefully.
next time.